Whew. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's Live with Latisha with your morning drive. So I sound a little raspy this morning because my voice feel a little funny. I think I'm going to take them off again. I think I kind of overdid it yesterday, and so my voice feels a little bit funny, but we're still going to move forward. I wonder how you guys' day was yesterday. Just so many things have taken place, so many things have happened, so we're going to get right into it. So when you come into the room, just say good morning, good morning, good morning. So I'm really, really excited about this week. I'm really excited about the whole Mindset Matters course. I'm really excited because I realize that so many people don't realize how important it is to gain control over who you are. Nobody can change your mindset but you. That's something that only you can do, because again, we've been programmed because of certain things to kind of, this is how we act, this is how we, so you've been conditioned to believe certain things in your life as factual when they're not. You have the ability to change, you have the ability to create, in many cases, the outcome that you desire. So if you want that business or you want particular things, hard work, consistency, and persistence gives you just that. It gives you that very thing that you need. You just have to be willing to put the work in. Right? So we've been discussing mindset matters. We've been discussing empowerment, acknowledgement, and today we're going to discuss the word accept. Because what did I tell you? You can't acknowledge a thing and then choose not to accept that it's true, that it's factual, that that's what it is, or accept the fact that maybe this person doesn't want help. You have to understand what it means to accept. So the definition of accept is, are you ready for this? Consent to receive a thing offered, right? Because some of you don't want to receive the offering of the truth, right? You don't want to receive those things because you've been kind of taught or conditioned that if I act like something didn't happen, or if I don't acknowledge a thing, that it didn't happen. And that's not true. Accept it as an offering. Truth is an offering, because a lot of people don't get truth. When you accept the fact that the truth is you can do better, that the truth is you can, you will, and it's already done, then you'll understand the offering aspect of accepting the truth. So acceptance of the truth is like an offering, because again, the definition is consent to receive a thing like an offering, or belief, or come to recognize an explanation as valid or correct. So I want to focus on the part of the consent to receive, because at this point, when you accept something and you're accepting it as truth, and it is truth, then that's your gift. That's the gift being offered to you, because in truth is freedom. But most people don't want to accept the truth. You don't want to accept that, some of these choices that you're making is not because of Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. It's because of you. Some of the things that are taking place in your life as an adult are because of your choices. See, I can acknowledge that there are some crazy things that happen in my life, right? I can acknowledge that. But at some point, you have to accept the fact that A, you can't change those things. Those were in your past. And B, accept the fact that, I've allowed that issue to control me long enough. And until you're able to do that, you will never be able to evolve into the very thing that you can be that's better than where you're at. So as we're discussing and focusing on acceptance and accept and what it means, there's this one particular quote that I really, really like, and I'm going to read it to you guys, and it's by Angela Davis. And it says, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change, right? I'm changing the things I cannot accept. And I need y'all to understand that that's like a twofold. So she says, I'm no longer accepting the things I cannot change, right? So I acknowledge those things that I cannot change. I cannot change the fact that I was violated. I cannot change that I grew up poor. I cannot change. There are things I cannot change. I can't change that I was diagnosed with a learning disability. I can't change those things in the past that has happened to me. Those are things I cannot change, and I have acknowledged it. But I don't have to accept that because it happened to me, I have to be a particular way. Because somebody told me that you have a learning disability and this is what you're not going to be able to do. See, I don't have to accept those things. So then I'm able to change the things that I cannot accept. I will not accept. I did not accept. I chose not to accept that because I had this, I automatically had to do this because I grew up as a statistic. Because again, my whole life is a statistic, was a statistic, considered a statistic. My mom had me early. Remember, she got pregnant at 13. She had me at 14. Statistics says I'm going to have another child. I'm going to have my child early. That's what statistics said. My father was very abusive to my mom. Statistics says that I'm going to be in an abusive relationship. I have a learning disability. I struggled. I was bullied and was a bully. Statistics say this is where you're going to be at for a minute, friend, because that it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. I refused to accept those things. So I had to change those things. I had to accept the fact, the gift. I had to accept the offering, that was my truth in that moment. The truth is I was violated. That's the offering. I had to accept that. The truth is that I did have a learning disability, that I do have a learning disability. That's fact. That's something I'm not going to be able to change. I mean, you could work at it, but there are certain things that's just going to be there. Okay. So I had to accept that. I had to accept the fact that, you know what, you do got a bad attitude. You know what, you do use a lot of things that you've been through as an excuse to continue to do what you're doing because you don't want to change. See, that's the thing. When you accept and consent to receive the gift of the truth, that some of you have gotten so content with where you're at, you're refusing the offering of truth to accept that, you know what, I can do better. You know what, this is my mindset. You don't want to accept that because remember, acceptance is consent to receive. You have to receive the truth. The truth is the gift. There are things about you that you don't like, but you won't accept it when somebody else identified and say, hey, you know what? Hey, sis. Hey, Veronica. You want to accept the fact when they say, hey, sis. You want to accept the fact when they're like, that's your truth. You do have a temper. You don't want to accept that gift because in truth is freedom. And if you're not willing to accept and acknowledge the truth, acknowledge and accept the truth, then how are you going to change? So when she says, I am no longer accepting the things that I cannot change. So the things I cannot change, that's not my gift. Because again, accept is the consent to receive a thing offered. I can't accept that this is me. This is where I'm going to be at. I'm going to be the one with the learning disability. I'm going to be the one with the bad temper. I'm going to be the one that lives my life as a victim. I'm not accepting that. So I'm going to change the things that I cannot accept. So I will be greater than who they said I was. Statistics said I'm going to be this, and this. I said, no, I will not. So I'm going to change the things I cannot accept. I will not accept that I am a poverty person with a poverty mindset. I don't have to accept that. So I'm going to change that. I don't have to accept that I'm going to always have a bad temper. I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to change that. The gift is in the acceptance of certain things. Ain't nothing I can do about that because that's my past. You cannot change your past. So a lot of times I tell my clients that you cannot change your past, but you can change how it controls your present state and even your future. So I can't change what I listen. I'm going to acknowledge that happened, but what I'm going to accept is that I have the innate ability to create the desire, to create the outcome that I desire. How is that? Because I'm going to take the gift of truth and say, you know what? I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to say, you know what, self, myself going to say, Latisha, you could have did that better. You could have put a little bit more effort into that. You could have really just stayed a little bit longer. You could have endured a little bit longer. Because there are some of you, you don't like I was like that. I don't like nothing that feel like pain, honey. If it feel like pain, I'm ready to go. I don't want to have nothing else to do with it. But no. Sometimes you got to sit there. Because if you don't get there, the truth of the matter is you'll come past that mountain again. And what's insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and acting like something different is going to happen. It's not. You have to change. You have to be able to understand that I acknowledge that, you know what, this thing did happen. I did this thing. But I'm going to accept the gift of my truth in it. That's it. The offering of my truth, that's what I'm accepting. But I don't have to accept the stuff that you piggybacked on it. because statistics says I'm going to be this, so that's what I have to be. I'm not accepting that. Statistics said because my mama had me at 13, or had me at 14, that I'm going to turn around and do the same thing she did. No, I don't have to accept that. Statistics said that I'm going to be in an abusive relationship because my mama was, no, I don't have to accept that. So those are the things that I'm going to change. Statistics said because of my learning disability, because of the way that I learned, it would kind of be harder for me to run a business again because I struggled so hard. I own more than one business. So I am changing the things that I cannot accept. I will not allow my kids to walk in poverty and the lack of knowledge, the lack of wisdom, and the lack of understanding of who they are. So I'm going to change that because I refuse to accept it. I will not allow my kids to walk in the curses of the bondage from those previous to them, because sometimes we walk in those things. We walk in those silent curses because we're not speaking up. We're not changing the things that we cannot accept. I have 3 black sons. Statistics say a whole lot about them, but I'm not accepting those things, so I'm going to change those things. I'm going to educate them. Because my son is tall does not mean that I have to accept that he's going to be a ball player. Why he can't be a scientist? But because we begin to operate in those cycles, and we begin to operate in those things, and we just accept certain things. You can accept the truth as the gift that it actually is. The gift can hurt. The truth is you do have a bad attitude. The truth is you do not know how to manage money well. The truth is you have a poverty mindset. The truth is you always angry. That's the truth. Accept that, right? Accept the gift that comes with the truth, because in that is your freedom. But now that you've acknowledged, that's what I meant to say, that you've acknowledged your truth, don't accept it in the place that you cannot change it. The gifting of the truth is that I have the ability to change how it affects me in my future. A prime example of that is that people, you see stories all the time of people that have been injured and they've lost their legs, they've done this, they say they're going to be paralyzed from the neck down, and they had to acknowledge that in that moment that was their truth. But because they refused to accept it, right? But they honored the truth as the gift. I am going to honor this truth that right now I am paralyzed from the waist down, but it's got to be stuff that I can do. That's why those stories of people who lost limbs and that they went to war and certain things happen, and now they're running in like triathlons because, listen, you might have taken my legs, but other legs were created for me because they had the ability to go beyond what they see. See, sometimes we acknowledge a thing for so long, we walk in it as that's the only fact. I can acknowledge that there are many things that happen to me in my life, but I don't have to accept that that's how my life is going to be because of that. I could stay in the ugly as the negative aspect of what it is that I do, but I didn't have to do that. So then as I begin to move forward, as you begin to decide how you're going to do this, which way you're going to go, how are you going to allow yourself to evolve in that moment? What is it that you want in that moment that you feel like you cannot get in the now? Accept the gift of truth. And it doesn't always feel good, but it allows you the freedom to operate and change your mindset. That's the part that I want you guys to get. That you have to accept the gift of your truth, but you don't have to walk in the negative aspects that come with it. Knowledge is power. I say that all the time. But if you don't do anything with the knowledge, then you can't walk in the power thereof. Acceptance that I don't have to stay in the state that I'm in. I see it so much. Everybody want to run a business. Everybody want to do this. But because you're not a consistent person, you're going to struggle. Because you're not persistent. Because the first no, you just don't do nothing else for a long time. I know that feeling because that used to be me. They tell me no, okay, and I don't try it no more. I've accepted that I'm not going to be able to do that thing. And so a lot of people, it's this one thing that keeps sticking out in my mind, and I'm going to share it with you guys. You know how in the Bible it says, speak to the mountain and it'll move, right? But we sing certain songs that tell us we're going to climb the mountain, right? Climbing up the rough side. We ain't even climbing up the smooth side. We climbing up the rough side of the mountain. Why? When I have the power to speak to the mountain and it moves. I acknowledged that the mountain was there. I accepted that it's the gift of it is that it's supposed to be a stumbling block. But I'm going to change that stumbling block and I'm going to make it a stepping stone. So how do I do that? So now that I'm acknowledging that this is an issue, it's time to get to work. How do I change this mountain to something that I can speak to and it'll move? And you got to understand the mountain moving may mean you need to reposition yourself. The mountain moving may mean that, you know what, I can't really stay in this spot. So I might need to walk around or go around it and see what it really look like. I'm not climbing it because I don't have to. So now as you begin to embody those things, as you begin to embrace your truth, that is your gift. Because most people don't want to accept or acknowledge the truth. But in order for your mindset to change, I keep telling y'all this is a 4-step process. Acknowledge. We did that yesterday. Accept. Now we got to accept the truth. Embrace it as such so that you can evolve. But you can't do these things if you're not willing to accept the gift of the truth. You can change your current state, but you got to change your mindset. There's no need of me leaving if I'm going to go right back to it because my mindset. See, sometimes people are in something so long that they've mentally left, but they're physically still there. So when you leave a situation physically, but mentally you're still in that situation, you're going to go back to it because you don't believe that it's affecting you in a negative way because you keep trying to see the positive. Sometimes the only way something is going to change in your life is if you accept that I can't change it. And you walk away from it. That's the mountain that you spoke to and it moved. If it moving means I have to move, then so be it. Sometimes you just need to change your position. Accept that. But some of us have been programmed to climb the rough side of the mountain. I'm not climbing no mountains. I'm not doing it. That's extra work I don't have to do. So if me speaking to this mountain means that, you know what? I want this position. But me getting that position means I got to go back to school. That's what I'm going to do so I can remove this stumbling block that's going to allow my paycheck to increase because I had to take a course. But if I look at the mountain and be like, well, you know, I don't know how I'm going to do that. They just trying to hold me back. No, they say take the course and you can get the increase in pay. But you keep trying to climb this mountain. Some things are unnecessary in your life. Don't put more work on you than you need put on you. So when you accept the gift of the truth, that is your freedom. Because I acknowledged that I had an issue with my mouth and I accepted that, right? But I have the ability to change it. I don't have to stay in it. I don't have to walk in it like that. All I know is that I have the ability to change those things in my life that I cannot accept as my fact. It don't have to be long lasting. So as you guys ponder on it, and that, like I don't even have that much today because that's really what I want you guys to sit on. Acceptance. Have you accepted the truth as the gift that it is to you? Because I'd rather somebody tell me the truth than to walk around blinded, believing a lie. And even when the truth hurts, even when the truth exposes some things, it's still a gift. Because then it allows me to change it so that way it does not affect my future. So that it does not control my present or my future. But if I choose to not accept it as the gift that truth really is, I will continue to walk around that mountain. I will continue to walk in the state of a fake, factual type of situation. Because I'm refusing to accept it. There are things in your life that you don't want to accept the truth. Like parents who don't want to believe their child is the issue. So because you refuse to believe it, you can't change it. Everybody not lying on your baby. They're not. But because you don't want to accept the gift of truth, now you allow that situation to get out of control, get out of hand, because you're not accepting the gift of the truth. You don't want to acknowledge the truth and you don't want to accept the truth. And until you're able to do those things, you can't change the outcome of it. If you keep walking in denial that little Pookie got a bad attitude, that his mouth, that he got a temper, then because you're refusing to accept the gift of the truth, then little Pookie gonna continue to go down a downward spiral because you don't want to accept the gift. Because when I accept the truth as the gift that it is, that gives me the ability to change the outcome when I can. Now I'm not I'm not climbing rough sides of mountains, I'm speaking to it. It doesn't mean I don't acknowledge that the mountain is there in my life. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge that they said I had a learning disability. That's not what that means. It means that everything you told me I couldn't do that was on the other side of that mountain, I'm going to do. And I don't have to climb it to get to it. All I have to do is speak to it. And it has to move. Why? Because now I have another ability. I figured out another method, another way that I can twist and I can turn. How can I get this mountain to move? And if that means it got to crumble to the ground, then so be it. But you have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. You have to have a strategic strategy and a plan. How am I going to move this mountain? Because you can't move a mountain unless the earth's shaking. And that means that's something supernatural that's going to take place and it's just going to crumble down. So how do I get that? Because when I hold fast to my truth as the gift that it is, now I can change the things that I choose not to accept. You said I had a learning disability. That was a fact. I tested. People said you got a learning disability. So because of that, they said, Tisha, you will not be able to do this. Wait a minute. Now, what you mean I can't do this? How you know? You're not going to see me 10, 15 years from now. What are you talking about? So I had to change that. I accepted the truth as the gift. Like sometimes, you have an ailment in your body and you don't want to go to the hospital because you don't want them to tell you the truth. You don't want them to tell you what it is. Like right now, people scared to go to the hospital because they don't want nobody to tell them that they got the corona. But you sick as a dog. So if I don't accept the fact that, I'm sick, I need to find out what it is. I'm one of them type of people. If you got a headache and you keep taking Tylenol, but you never go find out why you keep getting these headaches, and so you keep taking stuff that's going to temporarily soothe it, you're just treating the symptoms, but you're not getting to the root of the problem, then you're not operating in the gift that truth brings to you. So I can't change a situation if I don't even know what it is. You guys know I often talk about being promiscuous and going to the church because I had a fornicating demon, girl. That's what I said. That's what I was taught. That's what people taught me. To later find out that wasn't even my truth. My truth was I struggled with rejection. That was the root of the issue. So I was trying to numb how I felt with an action. But that wasn't my truth. My truth was I struggled with rejection. I had to accept the fact that, Tisha, you struggle with rejection. So now I can change the outcome of it always controlling me. But if I operate in a lie and don't accept the gift of truth, then I can't change the outcome. I can't change nothing because I refuse to accept it in its truth. And I know it kind of seems, I don't know, like even as I'm trying to say it, I'm trying to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. If a car hit you, you can't change the fact that the car hit you. You just can't change that. But when they hit you, you ever see people that they come in there and they're like, oh my God, you're not going to make it. They're not going to make it, blah, 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 blah. And then the family come together and even the patient come together and they're like, this is not going to be our outcome. This person will not die from this. They're not denying that it was an accident. What they're saying is the outcome that you've predicted, I can change that. We can do that. You say this person never walked in, again, watch this. Because you've seen it done time and time again, but it comes with consistency and persistence. It comes with accepting the truth as the gift that it is. And sometimes the gift don't look like what you want, but the gift is what you need in that moment. Sometimes that gift don't feel good, but after a while it won't feel as bad. You'll kind of appreciate it. You'll learn to embrace it. Because again, we operate in 4 steps: acknowledge, accept, embrace, and evolve. And you can't do these last 2 if you don't do the first 2. Yesterday we spoke about acknowledge. The day before that we had to walk through what it means to truly be empowered. And you cannot walk in empowerment because again, empowerment It's gaining control. It's actually being stronger and more confident, gaining control over your life and your rights. You cannot tell me you walk in empowerment and you don't got no control over nothing. You don't even know your real name because you letting somebody else tell you who you are. You have to acknowledge that, wait a minute, I got to change this. And accept that I've allowed people to control me for so long. I don't know my real truth. I don't know who I am. I don't even know whose I am, because you can't know whose you are if you don't know who you are. It does not work that way. So today's vibe was like a little bit different, because it's like I want you guys to understand something. The truth does not feel good at all. Not always. But accept the truth as the gift that it is. And if it's something about the truth that you don't like, then change it. When you sit down and realize, you know what? I really do got a bad attitude. I keep going back to that one because that was me. That's why I keep going back, because that was me. I really do have a flip mouth. When I acknowledged that truth and accepted the gift that it was, I changed that. I did not want people to be around me because my mouth was reckless and my attitude was bad. I didn't want people to always assume I was going to be the one with the bad attitude or change the mood of the party. I didn't want that. But I had to accept its truth as the gift it was in order to free myself, to release myself from the chains that were invisible to me, but yet I wore all the time because of things that happened in my life. I did have an issue with authority, people in authority. I had to accept that. But I had to acknowledge that that came from those that I trusted in my past, that caused me not to believe nobody that was in authority in my present. When I acknowledged that and I accepted that truth, I was able to change that. I don't have to stay that way. The truth is a gift. It just don't always feel good. Consent yourself, allow yourself to receive that truth. Now, how do I change it? Stop climbing rough sides of the mountain, honey, and speak to them. I ain't climbing nothing. I'm from Florida. I live in Florida. It's hot. I'm not climbing nothing. So what we gonna do? How we gonna do this? How we gonna change this outcome? Write this stuff down. Write the things down that people even constantly say about you. Because if like 10, 15, 20 people saying this all in different eras and ages in your life, yeah, you need to go ahead and acknowledge that, honey. Okay, that's that. Tisha, you got a bad attitude. You really do. You angry with somebody. I'm going to write that down and I'm going to acknowledge it. And in the midst of that, I'm going to accept the truth of it as the gift. Oh, but I don't have to stay that way. That's the part that I'm not accepting, that I have to stay that way. I got to stay that angry black person. No, ma'am. No, sir. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to change those things. My yesterday does not have to look like my today. But I have to change how I operate, change how I move. How do I excel? How do I evolve? How do I embrace something that hurts so bad? We're going to talk about the embracement of it tomorrow. But for right now, we got to focus on this acknowledgement and this acceptance. Because some of you want to acknowledge something, but you don't want to accept it. He left you because he wanted to leave you. Let's just try that. It don't necessarily mean it was your fault. But the pain of that hurts because you gave 100% of yourself to that situation. So go ahead on and acknowledge that. Now change how it's making you feel. That's what I can change. If you put a barrier in front of me and say, this, you cannot do this. No. I'm about to change that. If what I need is going to help me release myself into my freedom, we finna figure out how to do this. And I'm not climbing mountains, so I'm going to speak to it. How do I configure how to make this best for me? Acceptance of truth is the gift. But many of you don't want the gift. You keep rejecting the gift because you don't like how it makes you feel. Because you want to blame Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike for situations that are you. Because you are allowing them to control you. That's why I'm always about mindset matters. You got to go in here and change it. It's not intentional. We have been conditioned from birth to submit to foolishness. What happened in this house, stay in this house. So you become conditioned to that. Your mom and daddy yelling at each other and yelling at you and your aunties and grandma. So now you yelling at everybody else. You've been conditioned to that. So now you don't know how to talk. So you think because everybody in your family is slow that's a given. That's what you got to be. No, you're conditioned to that. Accept the truth. You know what? My family a little bit dysfunctional. Now I can't change what we did in the past. Oh, but I don't have to accept that to be our future. I have the ability to change that. So I want you guys to write down some stuff. Acknowledge this stuff. Acknowledge that, you know what, this been me. Hey, Festus, this is me. This is me. Acknowledge that. Accept its truth. I got a bad attitude. That's the gift. It's been exposed. You know, the purpose of a gift is when they open it, now everybody get to see what it is. And the truth is, you know what? I do have a bad attitude. The truth is the gift. And when you accept it as its truth, now you have the ability to change it. But most people walk in denial of its truth. It ain't me, it's them. It ain't me, it's her. It's not me, it's the job. But if every job you went to, firing you for the same thing, boo-boo, it's you. The gift is, it's you. Now let's change that. So I'm trying to articulate it in a way, because y'all know me, I don't like to leave on like a sad note, but I do want to leave saying this. Truth is a gift that you're going to have to accept, even when it don't feel like you want it to feel, even when it don't look like you want it to look. It's the truth. The truth is the gift, because in that is your freedom. If I don't accept the truth that I have a bad attitude, it's going to affect everything else in my life. I'm going to be having a hard time finding a job, hard time staying in relationships. Nobody ain't going to, y'all know people like that. Every time they come around, everybody rolling their eyes. And if you let them tell it, it's everybody else but them. But if you take hold, acknowledge the truth, and then accept it as the gift it is, it gives you the freedom that you so rightfully desire. Because the only real freedom you have is here. In America, we have liberties. There ain't no real freedoms. You can't really do what you want to do. You can't even think how you want to think without somebody yelling down your throat trying to tell you that's not the right way to think, because they don't agree with it. But in your mind, where there is freedom, you got to understand, people don't want your physical state. They want your mind. In the Willie Lynch letter, and I'm about to go because I'm going over time, it's 6:32. In the Willie Lynch letter, you learn that the slave masters were trained to condition the women to raise their children physically strong but mentally weak. Because of fear of losing them, I'm going to teach them and mold them to not really think for themselves, because when you read, you have to read it. When you read it, you understand why we're so eager to accept the physical aspect, but shun on the mental aspect because of the outcome that we fear is going to happen. I be doggone. We often rise up mentally, because when you are free of mind, you don't allow these things in this world to determine how you're going to operate. Somebody told you you wanted a house and a white picket fence and go ahead and be a first-time home buyer. And then they told you was a home owner, but you still paying a mortgage. You don't own it. This is my car. I pay the payments. Well, it's not your car. It's the people you make the payments to. God, I need y'all to understand the importance of mental freedoms. Let me tell you something. And I want you guys to dream big. It don't even matter. Everybody else around here can want a house. This is something I'm going to show you how to accept the truth. You don't even know why you want a house. They said that's the American dream, so that's what you want. So you looking at houses, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and you're proud of yourself because you're going to put that on your credit. When I told somebody I wanted an island and I'm going to get it, y'all, they made me feel like I shouldn't want that. Oh, wow, that's big thinking. No, it's not. Because islands cost as much as houses, and I know houses that cost more than islands. So you telling me I can possess the land? That's what I need you to get. Possess the land. Change your mindset. Accept the fact that I don't have financial wisdom, but I'm going to get it. I don't have financial knowledge, but I'm going to get it. You got to accept. I get too excited with money. You got to accept that in certain situations, you are not the wisest person. And that's your mountain. So if your mountain is lack of financial wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, how do I get that mountain to move? Because I'm going to educate myself so that we don't have to climb it. I can speak to it and it's going to move. But you got to accept the gift of the truth. Some of you like this stuff because you flashy. You don't went to Rent-A-Center and got all this furniture. Why? Because you want people to say you've arrived. Arrived where? To debt? That's where you arrive, debt. You work on some stuff. These are things you got to figure out. You work on some stuff, right? You start working on your credit so you can get a house. So you get the house. Now you don't let somebody convince you to go get a car. Nothing wrong with your other car. Nothing at all. Now you don't want to got this $16,000 cell phone and you're making payments on this. In the midst of all of that, you losing your freedoms because you keep, the Bible say, oweth no man. And I think people keep forgetting this. The reason that it says that is so you can have a freedom to come and go as you please, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. There are some things you just do not need at all. At all. Hi, Janet. At all. So as you continue to move forward, guys, oh God, this is a process. Like I want you guys to move forward in this thing. And I didn't plan on being here this long. I'm already 6 minutes over. I want you guys to write it down. I like that, Festus. If the gift is bad, you can only change it if you first accept it. That's right. Everybody tell Festus how. I don't know if he's still on here. He's in Nigeria, I think. You can only change it when you accept it. Because if not, you're still going to be walking around blind. Hi, Janet. You're still going to be walking around blind. So look at the truth as the gift it rightfully is, guys. And when you do that, then you have the ability to change it. That's the only way it's going to change. So today our truth is some stuff in here that we got to write down, that we got to change. We got to be like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't have to be this way. And as you begin to operate in that acknowledgement, and you begin to operate in that truth, and you begin to operate in the acceptance, then you start to realize, yeah, that's my holdup. Now, how do I change that? And everything that you need will come to you. But it ain't coming if you don't know what the help and the resources look like, because you're not acknowledging that you need the help and the resources. Yeah, he's in Nigeria. Hey, Festus. So you got to really pull this thing in and ask yourself, have I been cheating myself because I don't want to accept the gift of the truth because I think it's bad? Because that's what's wrong with a lot of us. We don't want to accept that truth because it don't look good. It don't feel good. It don't smell good. It don't taste good. But how are you ever going to evolve if you don't accept and acknowledge the truth? You can't do that. It ain't gonna happen. So I love you guys. Good morning, Lay. I love you guys. That's it for today. I actually went over my time by 8 minutes, but I will see you guys tomorrow at 6 a.m. And again, it's live with Latisha with your morning drive. And when I speak about drive, I am not talking about you driving your car. I'm talking about the thing that causes you to complete and achieve goals. So until next time, don't simply be encouraged, but be empowered. And empowerment gives you the ability to have more control and more confidence, gaining control over your life and your rights. Until next time, make it a great day. I love all you guys. See you later, Janet. Hey, Lay. Have a great day, guys.